Learning happiness. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, you would have missed I would I would have missed the question. I didn't want to talk about it. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, I would have dismissed the question. I didn't want to talk about it. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, I would have dismissed the question. I didn't want to talk about. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, I would have dismissed the question. I didn't want to talk about it. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, I would have dismissed the question. I didn't want to talk about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would have said 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10 on my best of days, but I did not value being happy. Today, I'm at a 9 out of 10, and yes, having money helps, but it's actually a very small piece of it. Most of it comes from learning over the years my own happiness is the most important thing to me, and I've cultivated it with a lot of techniques. Maybe happiness is not something you inherit or even choose, but a highly personal skill that can be learned, like fitness or nutrition. Happiness is a very involving thing. I think, like all the great questions, when you are a little kid, you go to your mom and ask, what happens when we die? Is there a Santa Claus? Is there a God? Should I be happy? Who should I marry? Those kind of things. There are no glib answers because no answers apply to everybody. This kind of question ultimately do have answers, but they have personal answers. The answer that really works for me is going to be nonsense to you, and vice versa. Whatever happiness means to me, it means something different to you. I think it's very important to explore what these definitions are. For some people I know, it's a flow state. For some people, it's satisfaction. For some people, it's a feeling of contentment. My definition keeps evolving. The answer I would have given you a year ago would be different than what I tell you now. Today, I believe happiness is really a default state. Happiness is there when you remove the things of something missing in your life. We are highly judgmental survival and prediction machines. We constantly walk around and thinking, I need this or I need that, trapped in the web of desires. Happiness is the state when nothing is missing. When nothing is missing, your mind shuts down and stops running to the past or future to regret something or to plan something. In that absence, for a moment, you have internal silence. When you have internal silence, then you are content and you are happy. Feel free to disagree. Again, it's different for everybody. People mistakenly believe happiness is just about positive thought and the positive actions. The more I've read, the more I've learned, and the more I've experienced because I've verified this for myself. Every positive thought essentially holds within within it within it a negative thought. It's a it contrasts it's a contrast to something negative. The Tao Te Ching says this more particularly articulately than I ever could, but it's a or duality and polarity. If I say I'm happy, that means I was sent at some point. If I say he's attractive, then somebody else is unattractive. Every positive thought even has a seed of negative thought within it and vice versa. which is why a lot of greatness in life comes out of suffering. You have to view the negative before you can aspire to and appreciate the positive. To me, happiness is not about positive thoughts. It's not about negative thoughts. It's about absence of desires, especially especially the absence of desire for external things. The fewer desires I can have, the more I can accept the current state of things, the less my mind is moving, because the mind really exists in motion towards the future or the past. The more present I am, the happier and more content I will be. If I latch onto a feeling, if I say, oh, I'm happy now, and I want to stay happy, then I'm going to drop out of that happiness. Now, suddenly, the mind is moving. It's trying to attach to something. It's trying to create a permanent situation out of a temporary situation. Happiness to me is mainly not suffering, not desiring, not thinking too much about the future or the past, really embracing the present moment and the reality of what is and the way it is. Happiness is learned. 10 years ago, if you would have asked me how happy I was, I would have dismissed the question. I didn't want to talk about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would have said 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10 on my best days. But I did not value being happy. Today, I'm a 9 out of 10. And yes, having money helps, but it's actually a very small piece of it. Most of it comes from learning over the years. My own happiness is the most important thing to me, and I've cultivated it with a lot of techniques. Maybe happiness is not something you inherit or even choose, but a highly personal skill that can be unlearned, like fitness or nutrition. Happiness is a very evolving thing. I think, like all the great questions, when you are a little kid, you go to your mom and ask what happens when we die. Is there a Santa Claus? Is there a God? Should I be happy? Who should I marry? Those kind of things. There are no glib answers because no answers apply to everybody. These kind of questions ultimately do have answers, but they have personal answers. The answer that works for me is going to be nonsense to you, and vice versa. Whatever happiness means to me, it means something different to you. I think it's very important to explore what these definitions are. For some people I know, it's flow state. For some people, it's satisfaction. For some people, it's a feeling of contentment. My definition keeps evolving. The answer I would have given you a year ago would be different than what I tell you now. Today, I believe happiness is really default state. Happiness is there when you remove the sense of something missing in your life. We are highly judgmental survival and replication machines. We constantly walk around thinking, I need this or I need that, trapped in the web of desires. Happiness is a state when nothing is missing. When nothing is missing, your mind shuts down and stops running into the past or the future to regret something or to plan something. In that absence, for a moment, you have internal silence. When you have internal silence, then you are content and you are happy. Feel free to disagree. Again, it's different for everybody. People mistakenly believe happiness is just about positive thought and positive actions. The more I've read, the more I've learned, and the more I've experienced, because I verify this for myself. Every positive thought essentially holds within within it a negative thought. It's a contrast to something negative. The Tao Te Ching says this more articulately than I ever could, but it's all duality and polarity. If I say I'm happy, that means I was sad at some point. If I say he's attractive, then somebody else is unattractive. Every positive thought even has a seed of a negative thought within it, and vice versa, which is why a lot of greatness in life comes out of suffering. If you have to view the negative before you can aspire to and appreciate the positive. To me, happiness is not about positive thoughts. It's not about negative thoughts. It's about the absence of desire, especially the absence of desire for external things. The fewer desires I can have, the more I can accept the current state of things. The less my mind is moving, because the mind it really exists in motion towards the future or the past. The more I present I am, the happier and more content I'll be. If I latch onto a feeling, if I say, oh, I'm happy now, if I want to stay happy, then I'm going to drop out of that happiness. Now, suddenly, the mind is moving. It's trying to attach to something. It's trying to create a permanent situation out of a temporary situation. Happiness to me is mainly not suffering, not desiring, not thinking too much about the future or the past, really embracing the present moment and the reality of what is and the way it is. If you ever want to have a peace in your life, you have to move beyond good and evil. Nature has no concept of happiness and or unhappiness. Nature follows unbroken mathematical laws and the chain of cause and effect from the Big Bang to now. Everything is perfect exactly the way it is. It's only in our particular minds we are unhappy or not happy, and things are perfect or imperfect because of what we desire. The world just reflects your own feelings back at you. Reality is neutral. Reality has no judgment. To a tree, there is no concept of right or wrong, good or bad. You are born, you have a whole set of sensory experiences and stimulations, lights, colors, and sounds, and then you die. How you choose to interpret them is up to you. You have that choice. That is what I mean when I say happiness is a choice. If you believe it's a choice, you can start working on it. There are no external forces affecting your emotions as much as you may feel that way. I've also come to believe in the complete and utter insignificance of the self. If I think that helps a lot, for example, if you thought you were the most important thing in the universe, then you would have to bend the entire universe to your will. If you are the most important thing in the universe, then you could then how could it not conform to your desires? If it doesn't conform to your desires, something is wrong. However, if you view yourself as a bacteria or an amoeba, or if you view all of your works as riding on water or building castles in the sand, then you have no exceptions for how life should actually be. Life is just the way it is. When you accept that, you have no cause to be happy or unhappy. Those things almost don't apply. Happiness is what's there when you remove the sense that something is missing in your life. What you are left within, what you are left within that neutral state is not neutrality. I think people believe neutrality would be very bland existence. No, this is existence little children live. If you look at little children on balance, they are generally pretty happy because they are really immersed in the environment and the moment, without any thought of how it should be given their personal preference and desires. I think the neutral state is actually a perfection state. One can be very happy as long as one isn't too caught up in their own head. Our lives are blink a firefly in the light. You are just barely here. You have to make the most of every minute, which doesn't mean you chase some stupid desire for your entire life. What it means is very second you have on, this planet is very precious, and it's your responsibility to make sure you are happy and interpreting everything in the best possible way. We think of ourselves as fixed and the world as malleable, but it's really we are malleable and the world is not fixed. Can practicing meditation help you accept reality? Accept a reality? Yeah, but it's amazing how little it helps. You can be a long time meditator, but if someone says the wrong thing in the wrong way, you go back to your ego-driven self. It's almost like you are lifting 1 pound weight, but then somebody drops a huge barbell with a stack of plates on your head. It's absolutely better than doing nothing. But when the actual moment of mental or emotional suffering arrives, it's still never easy. Real happiness only comes as a side effect of peace. Most of it going to come from acceptance, not from changing your external environment. A rational person can find peace by cultivating indifference to things outside of their control. I have, I have lowered my identity. I've lowered the chattering of my mind. I don't care about things that don't really matter. I don't get involved in politics. I don't have around I don't hang around unhappy people. I really value my time on this earth. I read philosophy. I meditate. I hang around with happy people and it works. You can very slowly but steadily and methodically improve your happiness baseline, just like you can improve your fitness. Happiness is a choice. Happiness, love, and passion aren't things you find. They are choices you make. Happiness is a choice you make and a skill you develop. The mind is just as malleable as the body. We spend so much time and effort trying to change the external world, other people, and our own bodies, all while accepting ourselves the way we were programmed in our youth. We accept the voice in our head as the source of all truth, but all of it is malleable, and every day is new. Memory and identity are burdens from the past, preventing us from living freely in the present. Happiness requires presence. At any given time, when you are walking down the street, a very small percentage of your brain is focused on the present. This rest is planning the future or regretting the past. This keeps you from having an incredible experience. It's keeping you from seeing the beauty in everything and for being grateful for where you are. You can literally destroy your happiness if you spend all of your time living in delusions of the future. We crave experiences that will make us be present, like the cravings themselves takes us from the present moment. I just don't believe in anything from my past. Anything. No memories, no regrets, no people, no trips, nothing. A lot of us, a lot of our happiness comes from comparing things from the past to the present. Anticipation for our vices pull us into the future. Eliminating vices makes it easier to be present. There's a great definition I read. Enlightenment is the space between your thoughts. It means enlightenment isn't something you achieve after 30 years sitting on a mountaintop. It's something you can achieve moment to moment, and you can be enlightened to a certain percent every single day. What if this life is the paradise we were promised, and we are just squandering it? Happiness requires space. A happiness and purpose interconnected. Happiness is such an overloaded word. It's not even sure. I'm not even sure what it means. For me, this happiness is more about peace than it's about joy. I don't think peace and purpose go together. If it's your internal purpose, the thing you most want to do, then sure, you'll be happy doing it. But an extremely inflicted purpose, like society wants me to do X, the first son of this, so I should do Y, or I have this debt or burden I took on. I don't think it will make you happy. I think a lot of us have this low-level pervasive feeling of anxiety. If you pay attention to your mind, sometimes you are just running around doing your things and you are not feeling great. And you notice your mind is chattering about something. Maybe you cannot sit still. There's this, there's this relaxing thing where you are sitting in one spot thinking about where you should be relaxed. It's always the next thing, then the next thing, the next thing after that. Then the next thing after that creates this pervasive anxiety. It's most obvious if you ever just sit down and try and do nothing. Nothing. Not read a book. Not listen to music. Literally just sit down and do nothing. You can't do it because there's anxiety always trying to make you get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. I think it's important. Just being aware of the anxiety is making you unhappy. The anxiety is just a series of running thoughts. How I combat anxiety, I don't try and fight it. I just notice I'm anxious because of all these thoughts I try to figure out. Would I rather be having this thought right now, or would I rather have my peace? Because as long as I have my thought, I can't have my peace. You will notice when I say happiness, I mean peace. When a lot of people say happiness, they mean joy or bliss. But I will take peace. A happy person isn't someone who's happy all the time. It's someone who effortlessly interprets events in such a way that they don't lose their innate peace. Every desire is a chosen unhappiness. I think the most common mistake for humanity is believing you are going to make happy because of some external circumstance. I know that's not original, that's not new, it's fundamental Buddhist wisdom. I'm not taking credit for it. I think I really just recognize it on a fundamental level, including myself. We bought a new car. Now I'm waiting for the new car to arrive. Of course, every night I'm on the forums reading about the car. Why? It's a silly object. It's a silly car. It's not going to change my life much or at all. I know the instant the car arrives, I won't care about anymore. The thing is, I addicted to the desiring. Am I addicted? Am I addicted to the idea of the external thing bringing me some kind of happiness and joy? And this is completely delusional. Delusional. Looking outside yourself for anything is a fundamental delusion. Not to say you shouldn't do things on the outside. You absolutely should. You are a living creature. The things you do, you locally reverse entropy. That's why you are here. You are meant to do something. You are not just meant to lie there in the sand and meditate all day long. You should self actualize. You should do what you are meant to do. The idea you are going to change something in the outside world, and that's going to bring you the peace, everlasting joy, and the happiness you deserve is the fundamental delusion we will suffer from. Including me, the mistake over and over and over is to say, oh, I'll be happy when I get that thing, whatever it is. This is a fundamental mistake we all make 24 hours, 7 days, all day long. The fundamental delusion there is something out there that will make me happy and fulfilled forever. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. I don't think most of us realize that what it is. I think we go about desiring things all day long and then wonder why we are unhappy. I like to stay aware of it because then I can choose my desires very carefully. I try not to have more than one big desire in my life at any given time. And I also recognize it as the axis of my suffering. I realize the area where I've chosen to be unhappy. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. One thing I've learned recently, it was more important to perfect your desires than to try to do something you don't 100% desire. When you are young and healthy, you can do more. By doing more, you can actually take on more and more desires. You don't realize this is slowly destroying your happiness. I find younger people are less happy but more healthy. Older people are more happy but less healthy. When you are young, you have time, you have health, but you have no money. When you are middle-aged, you have money, but you have health, but you have no time. When you are old, you have money and you have time, but you have no health. So the trifecta is trying to get all three at once. By the time people realize they have enough money, they've lost their time and their health. Success doesn't earn happiness. Happiness is being satisfied with what you have. Success comes from dissatisfaction. Choose. Confucius says you have two lives, and the second one begins when you realize you only have one. When and how did your second life begin? That's a very deep question. Most life people who are past a certain age have had this feeling or phenomenon. They've gone through life a certain way and then gotten to a certain stage and have to make some pretty big changes. I'm definitely also in that boat. I struggled for a lot of my life to have certain material and social successes. When I achieved those material and social successes, or at least was beyond a point where they didn't matter as much, I realized the people around me who had achieved similar successes and were on their way to achieving more didn't seem all that happy. In my case, there was definitely hedonic adaptation. I'd very quickly get used to anything. This led me to the conclusion which seems tried, that happiness is internal. That conclusion set me a path of working more on my internal self and realizing all real success is internal and has very little to do with external circumstance. One hand to do the external things anyway, we are biologically hardwired. It's glib to say you can just turn it off. Your own life experience will bring you back to the internal path. The problem with getting good at a game, especially one with big rewards, is you continue playing it long after you should have outgrown it. Survival and the replication drive put us on the work treadmill. Hedonic adaptation keeps us there. The trick is knowing when to jump off and play instead. What do you think of as successful? Most people think of someone as successful when they win a game, whatever game they play themselves. If you are athlete, you are going to think about top athlete. If you are in business, you might think Elon Musk. A few years ago, I would have said Steve Jobs because he was part of the driving force creating something that changed lives for all of humanity. I think Mark Anderson is successful, not because his recent incarnation incarnation was a venture capital as a venture capitalist, but because the incredible work he did with Netscape. Satoshi Nakamoto is successful in that he created Bitcoin, which is this incredible technological creation that will have repercussion repercussion for decades to come. Of course, Elon Musk, because he changed everyone's viewpoint on what is possible with modern technology and entrepreneurship. I consider those creators as commercializers successful. To me, the real winners are the ones who step out of the game entirely, who don't even play the game, who rise above it. Those are the people who have such internal mental and self-control and self-awareness. They need nothing from anybody else. There are a couple of these characters I know in my life. I would consider him successful because he doesn't need anything from anybody. He's at peace, he's healthy, and whether he makes more money or less money compared to the next person has no effort on his mental state. Historically, I would say the legendary Buddha, whose stuff I like reading, they are successful in the sense that they step out of the game entirely. Winning or losing doesn't matter to them. There's a line from Blaise Pascal I read. Basically, I see all of man's trouble arise because he cannot sit in a room quietly by himself. If you could just sit down, just sit for 30 minutes and be happy, you are successful. There is a very powerful place to be, but very few of us get there. I think happiness and the emergent property of peace, if you are peaceful inside and out, that will eventually result in happiness. But peace is a very hard thing to combine. The irony is the way most of us try to find peace through war. When you start a business, in a way, you are going to war. When you struggle with your roommates and to who should clean the dishes, you are going to war. You are struggling so you can have some sense of security and peace later. In reality, peace is not a guarantee. It's always flowing. It's always changing. You want to learn the core skill set for of flowing with life and accepting it in most cases. You can get almost anything you want out of life as long as it's one thing and you want it. for more than anything else. In my own personal experience, the place I end up the most is wanting to be at peace. Peace is happiness and rest. And rest and happiness is peace in motion. You can convert peace into happiness anytime you want, but peace is what you want most of the time. If you are a peaceful person, anything you do will be a happy activity today. The way we think you get peace is by resolving all of your external problems, but there are, there are unlimited external problems. The only way to actually get peace on the inside is by giving the idea of problems. Envy is the enemy of happiness. I don't think life is that hard. I think we make it hard. One of the things I'm trying to get rid of is the word should. Whenever the word should creeps up in your mind, it's guilty or social programming. Doing something because you should basically means you don't actually want to do it. It's just making you miserable. So I'm trying to eliminate as many shoulds from my life as possible. The enemy of peace as of a peace of mind is expectations dread expectations drilled into you by society and other people. Socially, we are told, go work out, go look good. That's multiplayer competitive game. Other people can see if I'm doing a good job or not. We are told, go make money, go buy a big house. Again, external multiplayer competitive game, training yourself to be happy is completely internal. There is no external progress, no external validation. You are competing against yourself. It's a single player game. We're like we're like bees or ants. We're such social creatures. We are external programmed and driving. We don't know how to play and win these single player games anymore. We compete purely in multiplayer games. The reality is, life is a single player game. You are born alone. You are going to die alone. All of your interpretations are alone. All your memories are alone. You are gone in 3 generations. Nobody cares. Before you showed up, nobody cared. It's a single player. Perhaps one reason why yoga and meditation are hard to sustain is they have low extrinsic value, purely single player games. Buffett has a great example when he asks if you want to be the world's best lover and known as the worst, or the world worst lover and known as the best, in reference to an inner and external scorecard. Exactly right. All the real scorecards are internal. Jealousy was kind of hard emotion for me to overcome. When I was young, I had a lot of jealousy. By and by, I learned to get rid of it. I still crops up every now and then. It's such poisonous emotion because at the end of the day, you are not better off with jealousy. You are unhappier, and the person you are jealous of is still successful or good looking or whatever they are. One day, I realized with all these people I was jealous of, I couldn't just choose a little aspect of their life. I couldn't say I want his body. I want I want his I want his money. I want his personality. You have to be that person. Do you want to actually be that person with all of their reactions, their desires, their family, their happiness level, their outlook on life, their self-image? If you are not willing to do a wholesale 24 hours, 7 days, 100% swap with whom that person is, then there is no point in being jealous. Once I came to the realization, jealousy fade away because I don't want to be anybody else. I'm perfectly happy being me. By the way, even that is under my control. To be happy being me, just there are no social rewards for it. Happiness is built by habits. My most surprising discovery in the last 5 years is that peace and happiness are skills. They are they are not things you are born with. Yes, there is a genetic range, and a lot of it is conditioning from your environment. But you can uncondition and recondition yourself. You can increase your happiness over time, and it starts with believing you can do it. It's a skill, just like nutrition is a skill. Dieting is a skill. Working out is a skill. Making money is a skill. Meeting girls or guys is a skill. Having good relationships is a skill. Even love is a skill. It starts with realizing you are a skill. They are skills you can learn when you put your intention and focus on it. The world can become a better place. When working, surrounded yourself with people more successful than you. When playing, surrounded yourself with people happier than you. What type of skill is happiness? It's all trial and error. You just see what works. You can try setting meditation. Did that work for you? Was the tantra meditation, or was it vipassana meditation? Was it 10-day retreat, or was 20 minutes enough? Okay, none of those worked. But what if I tried yoga? What if I surfed, surfed, kite surfed? What if I go car racing? What about cooking? Does that make me zen? You literally have to try all of these things until you find something that works for you. When it comes to medicines for the mind, the placebo placebo effect is 100% effective. When it comes to your mind, you want to be positively inclined, not incredulous in belief. If it's fully internal, you should have a positive mindset. For example, I was reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a fantastic introduction to being present. For people who are not religious, he shows you the single most important thing is to be present, and hammers it home over and over again until you get it. He wrote about this body energy exercise. He lie down and you feel the energy moving around your body. At that point, the old me would have put the book down and said, "Well, that's bullshit." But the new me said, "Well, if I believe it, maybe it will work." I went into I went into with a positive mindset. I laid down and tried the meditation. You know that? You know what? I felt really good. How does someone build the skill of happiness? You can build a good habit. No drinking alcohol will keep your mood more stable. Not eating sugar. Sugar will keep your mood more stable. Not going on Facebook, Snapchat, or Twitter will keep your mood more stable. Playing video games will make you happier in a short run. And I used to be an avid gamer, but in the long run, it could ruin your happiness. You are being fed dopamine, and having dopamine withdrawn from you in these little uncontrollable ways. Caffeine is another way where you trade long term for the short term. Essentially, you have to go through your life replacing your thoughtless bad habits with good ones, making a commitment to be a happier person. At the end of the day, you are a combination of your habits and the people who you spend the most time with. When we are kids, you have very few habits. Over time, we learn the thing we are not supposed to do. We become self-conscious. We start forming habits and routines, making distinctions between people who get happier and as they get older and people who don't can be explained by what habits they've developed. Are there are they habits that will increase your long-term happiness rather than your short-term happiness? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are generally positive and upbeat people? Are those relationships low maintenance? Do you admire or respect but not envy them? There's a five chips theory where you can predict a chip's behavior by five chips it hangs out with the most. I think that applies to humans as well. Maybe it's politically incorrect to say you should choose your friends very wisely, but you shouldn't choose them haphazardly based on who you live next to or who you happen to work with. The people who are the most happy and optimistic choose the right five chimps. The first rule of handling conflict: don't hang around people who constantly engage in conflict. I'm not interested in anything unsustainable or even hard to sustain, including difficult relationships. If you can see yourself working with someone for life, don't work with them for a day. There's a friend of mine, a Persian guy named Bizat. He just loves life, and he has no time for anybody who's not happy. If you ask Bizat what's his secret, he'll just look up and say, "Stop asking why and start saying, wow, the world is such an amazing place. As humans, we are used to taking everything for granted. Like what you and I are doing right now, we are sitting indoors, wearing clothes, well fed, and communicating with each other through space and time. We should be two monkeys sitting in the jungle right now, watching the sun going down, asking ourselves, where are we going to sleep? When we get something, we assume the world owes it to me, owes it to us. If you are present, you'll realize how many gifts and how much abundance there is around us all at all times. That's all you really need to do. I'm here now, and I have all these incredible things at my disposal. The most important trick is being happy to being happy. You to realize happiness is a skill you develop and a choice you make. You choose to be happy and then you work at it. It's just like building muscles. It's just like losing weight. It's just like succeeding at your job. It's just like learning calculus. You decide it's important to you. You prioritize it above everything else. You read everything on the topic. Happiness habit. I have a series of tricks I use to try and be happier in the moment. At first, they were silly and difficult, required a lot of attention, but now some of them have become second nature. By doing them religiously, I've managed to increase my happiness level quite a bit. The obvious one is meditation, insight meditation, working towards a specific purpose on it, which is to try and understand how my mind works. Just being very aware in every moment. If I catch myself judging somebody, I can stop myself and see what's a part of the interactions of this. I used to get annoyed by about things. Now I always look for the positive side of it. It used to take a rational effort. It's used to take a few seconds for me to come up with a positive. Now I can do it sub-second. I try to get more sunlight on my skin. I look up and smile. Every time you catch yourself desiring something, say, is it so important to me? I'll be happy unless this goes my way. You are going to find with the vast majority of things it's just not true. I think dropping caffeine made me happier. It makes me more of a stable person. I think working out every day makes me happier. If you have peace of body, it's easier to have peace of mind. The more you judge, the more you separate yourself. You feel good from an instant because you feel good about yourself, thinking you are better than something. Later, you are going to feel lonely. Then you see negativity everywhere. The world just reflects your own feelings back at you. Tell your friends you are a happy person. Then you will be forced to conform to it. You have a consistent bias. You have to live up to it. Your friends will expect you to be a happy person. Recover time and happiness by minimizing your use of these three smartphone apps: phone, calendar, and alarm clock. The more sacred you have, the less happy you are going to be. Caught in a funk, use meditation, music, and exercise to reset your mood. Then choose a new path to commit emotional energy of the rest of the day. Hedonic adaptation is more powerful than for man-made things, cars, house, clothes, money, than for natural things, food, sex, exercise. No exceptions. All screen activities link to less happiness. All non-screen activities link to more happiness. A personal metric, how much of the day is spent doing things out of obligation rather than out of interest. It, it's a news job to make you anxious and angry, but its underlying scientific, economic, education, and conflict trends are positive. Stay optimistic. Politics, academia, and social status are all zero-sum games. Positive sum games create positive people, increase serotonin in the brain without drugs, sunlight, exercise, positive thinking, and tryptophan. Changing habits. Pick one thing, cultivate a desire, visualize it, plan a sustainable path, identify needs, triggers, and substitutes. Tell your friend, track meticulously. Track meticulously. Self-discipline is the bridge of a new self-image. Baking the new self-image is who you are now. First, you know it, then you understand it, then you can explain it, then you can feel it. Finally, you are it. Find happiness in acceptance. In any situation in life, you always have three choices. You can change it, you can accept it, or you can leave it. If you want to change it, then it's a desire. It will cause you suffering until you successfully change it. So don't pick too many of those. Pick one big desire in your life at any given time to give yourself purpose and motivation. Why not two? You will be distracted. Even one is hard enough. Being peaceful comes from having your mind clear of thought, and a lot of clarity comes from being in the present moment. It's very hard being in the present moment. If you are thinking, I need to do this, I want that, this has, this has got to change. You always have three options. You can change it, you can accept it, or you can leave it. What is not good option is to sit around wishing you would change it, but not change it. Wishing you could leave it, but not leaving it, or not accepting it. The struggle or aversion, version, aversion is responsible for most of us misery. The phrase I probably used the most of myself in my head, just one word: accept. What does acceptance look like to you? It's be okay whatever the outcome is. It's to be balanced and centered. It's just to step back and to see the grander scheme of the things. I don't always get what we want, but sometimes what is happening is for the best. The sooner you can accept it as a reality, the sooner you can adapt to it. Achieving acceptance is very difficult. I have a couple hacks I try, but I wouldn't say they are totally successful. One hack is stamping hack and looking at the previous bit of suffering I've had in my life. I write them down. Last time you broke up with somebody. Last time you had a business failure. Last time you had a health issue. What happened? I can trace the growth and improvement that come from it last year. I have another hack I use for minor annoyance. When they happen, a part of me will instantly react negatively, but I've learned to mentally ask myself, what is positive of this situation? Okay, I'll late for a meeting, but what is the benefit for to me? I get to relax and watch the birds for a moment. I'll also spend less time in that boring meetings. There's almost always something positive, even if you can't come up with something positive. You can see, well, the universe is going to teach me something now. Now I, I get to listen and learn. To give you the simplest example, I was at an event and afterward someone flooded my inbox and a whole bunch of photos they took. There was a tiny instant judgment saying, come on, couldn't you just you have just selected a few of the best who sent 100 photos. But then immediately I asked myself, what is the positive? The positive is that I get to pick my 5 favorite photos. I get to use my judgment. Over the last years, by practicing this hacking up, I've managed to get go from taking a couple of seconds to think of a response to my brain doing it almost inten, instantaneously. That's a habit you can train yourself to do. How do you learn to accept things you can't change instantaneously? Fundamentally, it boils down to one big hack: embracing death. Death is the most important thing that is ever going to happen to you. When you look at your death and you acknowledge it, rather than running away from it, you will bring a great meaning to your life. We spend so much of our life trying to avoid death. So much of what we struggle for can be classified as a quest for immortality. If you are religious and believe there is an afterlife, then you will be taken care of. If you are not religious, maybe you have kids. If you are an artist or a painter or a businessman, you want to leave a legacy behind. Here's a hot tip: there's no legacy. There's nothing to leave. We're all going to be gone. Our children will be gone. Our works will be dust. Our civilizations will be dust. Our planet will be dust. Our solar system will be dust. In the grand scheme of things, the universe has been around for 10 billion years. It will be around for another 10 billion years. Your life is firefly blink in a light. You are here for such brief period of time. You fully acknowledge the futility of what you are doing. Then I think it can bring great happiness and peace because you realize this is a game, but it's a fun game. All that matters is your experience, your reality as you go through life. Why not interpret it in most positive possible way? Any moment where you are not having a great time or you are not really happy, you are not doing anyone any favors. It's not like your unhappiness makes them better off somehow. All you are doing is wasting this incredibly small and precious time you have on this earth. Keeping death on the forefront and not denying it's very important. Whenever I get caught up in my ego battles, I just think of entire civilizations that I've come and gone. For example, take the Sumerians. I'm sure they were important people and did great things, but go ahead and name me a single Sumerian. Tell me anything interesting or important Sumerians did that lasting. So maybe 10,000 years from now, or if 100,000 years from now, people will see, oh yeah, Americans, I've heard Americans. We are going to die one day, and none of this going to matter. So enjoy yourself. Do something positive. Project some love. Make someone happy. Laugh a little bit. Appreciate the moment and do your work. Saving yourself. A lot of what goes on today is what many of you are doing right now. Beating yourself up and scribbling notes and saying, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do. No, you don't need to do anything. All you should do is what you want to do. If you stop trying to figure out how to do things the way other people want you to do them, you get to listen to the little voice inside your head that wants to do things a certain way, then you get to be you. I never met my greatest mentor. I want I want so much to be like him, but his message was the opposite. Be yourself. Be passionate, intensity. No one in the world is going to beat you at being you. You are never going to be as good at being me as I am. I'm never going to be as good as being you as you are. Certainly listen and absorb, but don't try to emulate. It's full of around. Instead, each person is uniquely qualified at something. They have some specific knowledge, capability, and desire nobody else in the world does, purely from the combi- combinatorics of human DNA and develop. The combinatorics of human DNA and experience are staggering. You will never meet any few, any two humans are substitutable for each other. Your goal in life is find the people, business, project, or part their you needs you the most. There is something out there just for you. What you don't want to do is build a checklist and decision frameworks built on what other people are doing. You are never going to be them. You'll never be good at being somebody else. To make an original contribution, you have to be irrationally obsessed with something. Choosing to care for yourself. My number one priority in life, above my happiness, above my family, above my work, is my own health. It starts with my physical health. Second is my mental health. Third is my spiritual health. Then it's my family health. Then it's my family's well-being. After that, I can go out and do whatever I need to do with the rest of the world. Nothing like a health problem to turn up the contrast style for the rest of the life. What about the modern world steers us from the way humans are meant to live? There are many, many things. There are a number on physics side. We have diets we are not involved to eat. A correct diet should probably look closer to a paleo diet, most mostly eating vegetables with a small amount of meat and berries. In terms of exercise, we are probably meant to play instead of running on a treadmill. We are probably involved to use all of our five things equally as opposed to favoring the visual cortex. In modern society, most all of our input and communication are visual. We are not meant to walk in the shoes. A lot of back and foot problems come from shoes. We are not meant to have clothes keeps us warm all of the time. We are meant to have some cold exposure. It kickstarts your immune system. We are not involved to live in a perfectly sterile and clean environment. It leads to allergies and untrained immune system. It's known as the hygiene hypothesis. We are involved to live in much smaller tribes and to have more family around us. I particularly grew up in India, and in India, everybody is in your business. There's a counting aunt and uncle who is in your face, which makes it hard to be depressed because you are never alone. I'm not referring to people with chemical depression. I'm talking more about the existential, 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 and teenagers seem to go through. But on the other hand, you have no privacy, so you can't be free. There are trade-offs. We are not meant to check our phone every 5 minutes. The constant mood swings of getting like then an angry comment makes us into anxious creatures. We involved first scarcity but living in abundance. There's constant struggle to say no when your genes always want to say yes. Yes to sugar, yes to stay in this relationship, yes to alcohol, yes to drugs, yes, yes, yes. Our bodies don't know how to say no. When everyone is sick, we no longer consider it's a disease. Diet. Outside of math, physics, and chemistry, there isn't much settled science. We are still arguing over what some optimal diet is. Do you have an opinion on the ketogenic gen, genic, ketogenic diet? What's that? It seems really difficult to follow. It makes sense for the brain and the body have a backup mechanism. For example, in the Ice Age, humans evolved without many plants available. At the same time, we have been eating plants for thousands of years. I don't think plants are bad for you, but sometimes closer to the paleo diet is probably correct. I think I think the interplay between sugar and fat is really interesting. Fat is what makes you satiate. Fatty food make you feel full. The easiest way to feel full is to go on a ketogenic ketogenic diet where you are eating tons of bacon all the time and you are going to feel almost nauseous and not want to look at fat anymore. Sugar makes you hungry. Sugar signals to your body there's this incredible food resources in the environment we are not involved for. So for rush out to get sugar, the problem is sugar effect dominates the fat effect. If you eat fatty meal and you throw some sugar in, the sugar is going to deliver hunger and fat is going to deliver the calories and you are just going to brain binge. That's why all desserts are large combinations of fat and carbs together. In nature, it's very rare to find carbs and fat together. In nature, I find carbs and fat together in coconut, in mangoes, maybe in bananas, but it's basically tropical fruit. The combination of sugar and fat together is really deadly. You've got to watch out for that in our diet. I'm not an expert, but the problem is diet and nutrition are like politics. Everybody thinks they are expert. Their identity is wrapped up in it because what they will be eating for what they think they should be eating is obviously the correct answer. Everybody has a little religion. It's just a it's just a really difficult topic to talk about. I would just say in general, any sensible diet avoids the combination of sugar and fat together. Dietary fat drives so dietary sugar drives hunger. The sugar effect dominates. Control your appetite accordingly. Most fit and healthy people focus more on what they eat than how much. Quality control is easier than quantity control. Ironically, fasting is easier than portion control. Once the body detects food, it overrides the brain. What I wonder about Wonder Bread is how it can stay soft and room temperature for months if bacteria won't eat it. Should you? It has been 5,000 years. We are still arguing over whether meat is poisonous or plants are poisonous. Teach the extremists and eating food invented in the last few hundred years. When it comes to medicine and nutrition, subtract before you end. My trainer sent me photos of his meals and it reminds me we all flavor we are all flavor addicts. World's simplest diet, the more processed the food, the less one should consume. Exercise, the harder the workout, the easier the day. What habit would you say most positively impacts your life? The daily morning workout that has been a complete game changer. It made me feel healthier, younger. It made me not go out late. It comes from one simple thing, which is everybody says, I don't have time. Basically, whenever you throw any so-called good habit at somebody, they'll have an excuse for themselves. Usually, the most common is, I don't have time. I don't have time is just another way of saying it's not a priority. What you really have to do is see whatever it's a priority or not. If something is your number one priority, then you will do it. That's just the way life works. If you got 40 basketball of 10 or 15 different priorities, got a 40 basket of 10 or 15 different priorities, you are going to end up getting none of them. What I did was decide my number one priority in life above my happiness, above my family, above my work is my own health. It starts with my physical health because my physical health become my number one priority. Then I could never say I don't have time in the morning. I work out and how long it takes. I don't start my day until I've worked out. I don't care if the world is imploding, imploding and melting down. I can't wait another 30 minutes until I'm done working out. It's pretty much for every day. There are a few days where I've had to take a break because I'm traveling, I'm injured or sick or something. I can count on one hand the number of breaks I take every year. 1 month of consistent yoga, I feel 10 years younger. To stay flexible is to stay young. Have you make a habit? Doesn't matter. Does something every day. It most doesn't matter what you do. The people who are obsessing over whether to do weight training, tennis, the high intensity interval training method, the happy body, or whatever, they are missing the point. The point thing is to do something every day. It doesn't matter what it is. The best workout for you is one you excited enough to do every day. Walking meetings, brain works better. Exercise, sunlight, shorter, less less what? More dialogue, less monologue. Low night, and easily by working back. Like everything in life, if you are willing to make the short-term sacrifice, you will have the long-term benefit. My physical trainer is a really wise, brilliant guy. He always says, easy choice, hard life, hard choices, easy life. Basically, if you are making the hard choices right now in what to eat, you're not eating all the junk food you want and making the hard choice to work out. So your life long term will be easy. You won't be sick. You won't be unhealthy. The same is true of values. The same is true for saving for a rainy day. The same is true for how you approach your relationships. If you make the easy choices right now, your overall life will be a lot harder. Meditation, mental strength, and emotion is our evolved biology predicting the future impact of the current event in modern setting is usually exaggerated or wrong. Why is meditation so powerful? Your breath is one of the few places where your autonomic nervous nervous system meets your voluntary nervous system. It's involuntary, but you also control it. I think a lot of meditation practice put an emphasis on this breath because it's gateway into your autonomic nervous system. There are many cases in the medical and the spiritual literature of people controlling their bodies at level that should be autonomous. Your mind is such a powerful thing. What's so unusual about your forebrain sending signals to your hindbrain and your hindbrain routing resources to your entire body? You can do it just by breathing. Relaxed breathing tells your body you are safe. Then your forebrain doesn't need as many resources as it normally does. Now, extra energy can be sent to your hindbrain and it can be reroute those resources to the rest of your body. I'm not saying you can beat whatever illness you have just become because you activated your hindbrain. and you are devoting most of the energy normally required to care about the external environment to the immune system. I highly recommended listening to the Tim Ferriss podcast with Wim Hof. He's a walking miracle. Wim's nickname is Iceman. He holds a world record for the longest time spent in the ice bath and swimming in freezing cold water. I was very inspired by him, not only because he's capable of superhuman physical feats, but because he does it while being incredibly kind and happy, which is not easy to accomplish. He advocates cold exposures because he believes people are too separate from their natural natural environment. We are consistently clothed, fanned, and warm. Our body has lost touch with the cold. The cold is important because it can activate the immune system. So he advocates taking long ice baths, being from the India subcontinent. I'm strongly against the idea of ice bath, but Wim inspired me to give cold showers a try, and I did so by using the Wim Hof breathing method. It involves hyperven- hyperventilating, hyperventilating to get more oxygen into your blood, which raises your core temperature. Then you can go into the shower. The first few cold showers were hilarious because I'd shower slowly eased myself in. Within the entire week, I started about 5 months ago. Now I turn the shower on full blast and then I walked right in. I don't give myself any time to hesitate. And soon I hear the voice in my head telling me how cold it's going to be. I know I have to walk in. I learned a very important lesson from this. Most of our most of our suffering comes from avoidance. Most of the suffering from a cold shower is tiptoeing your way in. Once you are in, you are in. It's not suffering, it's just cold. Your body saying it's cold is different than your mind saying it's cold. Acknowledge it. Your body saying it's cold. Look at it, deal with it, accept it, but don't mentally suffer over it. Take a cold shower for 2 minutes isn't going to kill you. Having a cold shower helps you relearn that lesson every morning. Now, hot shower, just one less thing I lead out of my out I lead out of life. Out of life. Meditation. Meditation is intermittent fasting, intermittent fasting for the mind. Too much sugar leads to a heavy body, and too many distractions lead to a heavy mind. Time spent undistracted and alone in self-examination, journaling, meditation resolves the unresolved and takes us from mentally fat to fit. Do you have a current meditation practice? I think meditation is like a diary, where everyone is supposed to following a regimen. Everyone says they do it, but nobody actually does it. The real set of people who meditate on a regular basis, I found, and pretty rare. I've identified and tried at least 4 different forms of meditation. The one I found works best for me is called choiceless awareness. Non-judgmental awareness, and you are going about your daily business, hopefully, rather than some later, and you are not talking to anybody else. You practice learning to accept the moment you are in without making judgment. You don't think there's a homeless guy over there, better cross the street, or look at someone running by and see he's out of shape and I'm in better shape than him. If I saw a guy with a bad hair day, I wouldn't at first think, haha, he has a bad hair day. Well, why am I laughing at him to make me feel better about myself? And why I'm trying to make me feel better about my own hair? Because I'm losing my hair and I'm afraid if it's going to go away. What I found is 90% of the thought I have a fear-based. The other 10% may be desire-based. You don't make any decisions. You don't judge anything. You just accept everything. If I do that for 10 or 15 minutes while walking around, I end up in very peaceful, grateful state. Choiceless awareness works well for me. You could also do transcendental tras- transcendental meditation, which is where you are using repetitive chanting, chanting to create a white noise in your head to bury your thoughts. Or you can just wake very keenly and very keenly and very alertly be aware of your thoughts as they happen. And you watch your thoughts, you realize how many of them are fear-based. The moment you recognize a fear without even trying, it goes away. After a while, your mind quiets. When your mind quiets, you stop taking everything around you go guaranteed. You start to notice the details. You think, wow, I live in such a beautiful place. It's so great that I have clothes. So and I can go to Starbucks and get coffee anytime. Look at these people. Each one has a perfectly valid and complete life going on in their own heads. It pops us out of the story we are constantly telling ourselves. If you stop talking to yourself for even 10 minutes, if you stop obsessing over your own story, you realize we are really far up Maslow hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the life is pretty good. Life hack: when in bed, meditate. Either you will have a deep meditation or fall asleep. Victory either way. Another method I've learned is just to sit there and you choose your eyes and for at least 1 hour a day you surrender. Reckon. Over time, over time, you will resolve a lot of these deep-seated, unresolved things you have in your mind. Once you are resolved, it will come a day when you sit down to meditate and you will hit mental inbox zero. When you open your mental email and they are none, that's pretty amazing feeling. It's a state of joy and bliss and peace. Once you have it, you don't want to give it up. If you can get a free hour of bliss every morning just by sitting and closing your eyes, that is worth its weight in gold. It will change your life. I recommend meditating 1 hour each morning because everything less is not enough time to really get deep into it. I would recommend if you really want to try meditation, try 6 days of 1 hour a day. First thing in the morning, after about 6 days, you will be tired of listening to your own mind. You have resolved a lot of issues. So if you have heard them enough to see through those fears and issues, meditation isn't hard. All you have to do is sit there and do nothing. Just sit down, close your eyes and say, I'm just going to give myself a break for an hour. That's my hour off from my life, from life. It's an hour. I'm not going to do anything. If thoughts, if thoughts come. If I'm not going to fight them, I'm not going to embrace them. I'm not going to think harder about them. I'm not going to reject them. I'm just going to sit here for an hour with my eyes closed. I'm going to do nothing. How hard is that? Why can you do nothing for an hour? What's so hard about giving yourself an hour long break? Was there a moment where you realized you could control how you interpret things? I think one problem people have is not recognizing they can control how they interpret and respond to a situation. I think everyone know it's possible. There's a great Osho lecture titled "The Attraction for Drugs is Spiritual." He talks about why do people do drugs, everything from alcohol to psychedelics to cannabis. They are doing it to control their mental state. They are doing it to control how they react. Some people drink because it helps them not care so much. So they are potheads. So they are potheads because they can zone out. They do psychedelics, so feel very present or connected to nature. The attraction of drugs is spiritual. All of the society does this to some extent. People chasing thrills, thrills in action sports of flow states or orgasms. Any of these states people strive for are people trying to get out of their own heads. They are trying to get away from the voice in their heads, the overdeveloped sense of self. At the very least, I don't want my sense of self to contribute to develop and strengthen I get older. I want it to be weaker and more muted so I can be more in present everyday reality, accept nature and the world for what is, and appreciate very much as a childhood. The first thing is to realize is you can observe your mental state. Meditation that means you are suddenly going to gain the superpower to control your internal state. The advantage of meditation is recognizing just how out of control of your mind is. It's likely monkey flinging running around the room, making trouble, shouting, and breaking things. It's completely uncontrollable. It's out of control. Mad person. You have to see this mad creature in operation before you feel a certain distaste towards distaste towards it and start separating yourself from it. In that separation is liberation. You realize, I don't want to be that person. Why am I so out of control? Awareness alone calms you down. Insight meditation lets you run your brain in debug mode until you realize you are just a subroutine in a large program. I try to keep my eye on my internal monologue. It doesn't always work. In the computer programming sense, I try to run my brain in debugging mode as much as possible. When I'm talking to someone or when I'm engaging in a group activity, it's almost impossible because your brain has too many things to handle. But if I'm by myself, just like this morning, I'm brushing my teeth and starting thinking forward to a podcast, I started going through this little fantasy where I imagined Shane asking me a bunch of questions, and I was fantasy answering them. Then I cut myself. I put my brain in debug mode and just watched every little instruction go by. I said, why am I fantasizing future planning? Why can't I just stand here and brush my teeth? And the awareness of my brain was running off in the future and planning some fantasy scenario out of ego. I was like, well, do I really care if I embarrass myself? Embarrass. Who cares? I'm going to die anyway. This is all going to go to zero. I won't remember anything, and this is pointless. Then I shut down and I went back and brushing my teeth, and I was noticing how good the toothbrush was and how good it felt. Then the next moment, I'm off to thinking something else. I have to look at my brain again and see, do I really need to solve this problem right now? 95% of what my brain runs up and tries to do, I don't need to tackle in that exact moment. If the brain is like a muscle, you'll be better off resetting, resting it, being at peace when a particular problem arises. I may immerse myself in it. Right now, we are talking. I'd rather dedicate myself to being completely lost in the conversation and to being 100% focused on this and opposed to thinking about when I brushed my teeth, did I do it? Did I do it the right way? The ability of singularly focus is related to the ability to lose yourself and be present, happy, and ironically more effective. It's almost like you are taking yourself out of certain frame and you are watching things from a different perspective, even though you are in your own mind. Buddhists talk about awareness versus the ego. They are really talking about how you can think of your brain, your consciousness, and multi-layered mechanisms. Their core base, kernel level always running. Then there are applications running on top. I like to think of it as computer and geek speak. I'm actually going back to my awareness level of OS, which is always calm, always peaceful, and generally happy and content. I'm trying to stay in awareness mode and not activate the monkey mind, which is always worried, frightened, and anxious. It serves incredible purpose, but I try not to activate the monkey mind until I need it. When I need it, I want to just focus on that. If I run it 24 hours, 7 days, I waste energy, and the monkey mind becomes me. I'm more than my monkey mind. Another thing, spirituality, religion, Buddhism, or anything you follow will teach you over time you are more than just your mind. You are more than just your habits. You are more than just your preference. Preference. You are a level of awareness. You are a body. Modern humans, we don't live enough in our body. We don't live enough in our awareness. We live too much in this internal monologue in our heads, all of which is just programmed into you by society and by the environment when you were younger. You are basically a bunch of DNA that reacted to environmental effects when you were younger. We recorded the good and bad experience and you use them to prejudge everything against you. Then you are using those experiences constantly trying to predict the change of the future. As you get older, the sum of preferences you've accumulated is very, very large. The habitual reactions end up as runaway friends, strings, controlling your mood. You should control your own moods. Why don't we study how to control our moods? What a masterful thing it would be if you could say right now, I would like to be in the curious state. And then you can generously get yourself into the curious state. Or say, I want to be in a mourning state. I mean, mourning. I love the one, and I want to grieve for them. I really want to feel that. I don't want to be distracted by a computer programmed problem due tomorrow. The mind itself a muscle. It can be trained and conditioned. Conditioned. It has been haphazardly conditioned by society to be out of our control. If you look at your mind and awareness and intent, a 24-hour, 7-day job you are working at every moment, I think you can unpack your own mind, your emotions, thoughts, and reactions. Then you can start reconfiguring, reconfiguring. You can start rewriting this program to what you want. Meditation is turning off society and listening to yourself. It only works when done for its own sake. Hiking is walking meditation. Journaling is writing meditation. Praying is gratitude meditation. Showering is accidental meditation. Sitting quietly is direct meditation. Choose to build yourself. The greatest superpower is the ability to change yourself. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your life and how did you recover? I made a class of mistakes. I would summarize the same way. The mistake we were always only in hindsight to one exercise, which is asking yourself when you are 30, what advice would you give to your 20 years old self? And when you are 40, what advice would you give to your 30 years old self? Maybe it's your younger. If you are younger, you can do it by every 5 years. Sit down and say, okay, 2007, what was I doing? How was I feeling? 2008, what was I doing? How was I feeling? 2009, what was I doing? What was I doing? How was I feeling? Life is going to play out the way it's going to play out. There will be some good and some bad. Most of it actually just up to your interpretation. You are born, you have a set of sensory experience, and then you die. How you choose to interpret those experiences is up to you, and different people interpret them in different ways. Really, I wish I had done all of the same thing, but with less emotion and less anger. The most celebrated example would be when I was younger, I started a company. This company did well, but I didn't do well. So I shoot some of the people involved. I was a good outcome for me in the end, and everything worked out okay. But there was a lot of anger. Today, I wouldn't have the angst and the anger. I would have just walked up to the people and said, look, this is what happened. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. This is what's fair. This is what's not. I wouldn't realize the anger and the emotions are a huge, completely unnecessary consequence. Now I'm trying to learn from what from that and do the same thing. I think then are the right things to do, but without anger and with a long-term point of view. If you take a very long-term point of view and take the emotion out of it, I wouldn't consider those things mistakes anymore. Again, habits are everything. Everything we are trained in habits from when we are children, including party training, when to cry and when not to, how to smile and when not to. These things become habits, behaviors we learned and integrate into ourselves. When we are older, we are a collection of thousands of habits constantly running subconsciously. We have a little bit of extra brain power in our new context for solving new problems. You become your habit. This came to light for me when my trainer gave me a routine to do every single day. I had never worked out every single day before. It's a light workout. It's not tough on your body, but I did this workout every single day. I realized the incredible, astonishing transformation it had on me, both physically and mentally. To have peace of mind, you have to have a peace of body first. This taught me the power of habits. I started realizing it's all about habit. At any given time, it's either trying to pick up a good habit or discard a previous bad habit. It takes time. If someone says, I want to be fit, I want to be healthy right now, I'm out of shape and I'm fat, well, nothing sustainable is going to work for you in 3 months. It's going to be at least a 10-year journey. Every 6 months, depending on how fast you can do it, you are going to break bad habit and pick up good habit. One of the things Krishnamurti talks about is being in an internal state of revolution. You should always be internally ready for a complete change. Whenever we say we are going to try to do something and we'll try to form a habit. We are wimping out. We are just saying to ourselves, I'm going to buy myself some more time. The reality is when your emotions want us to do something, we just do it. If you want to go approach a pretty girl, if you want to have a drink, if you really desire something, you just go do it. When you see, I'm going to I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that, you are really putting it off. You are giving yourself out, and at least you are self-aware. You can think, I want to do this, but I don't really because I really wanted to do it. I would just do it. Commit externally to enough people. For example, if you want to quit smoking, all you have to do is go to everybody you know and say, I quit smoking. I did it. I give you my word. I give you my word. That's all you need to do. Go ahead and write. But most of us say we are not quite ready. We know we don't want to commit ourselves externally. It's important to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm not ready to give up smoking. I like it too much. It's going to be too hard for me to give up. Say instead, I'll set a more reasonable goal for myself. I'll cut down to the following amount. I can commit to that externally. I mean, we're going to work on that for 3 or 6 months. When I get there, I'll take the next step as opposed to beating myself up over it. When you really want to change, you just change. But most of us don't really want to change. We don't want to go through the pain just yet. And at least recognize it, be aware of it, and give yourself a smaller change you can actually carry out. Impatience with actions, patience with results. Anything you have to do, just get it done. Why wait? You are not getting any younger. Your life is slipping away. You don't want to spend it waiting in line. You don't want to spend it traveling back and forth. You don't want to spend it doing things you know ultimately aren't part of your mission. When you do them, you want to do them as quickly as you can while doing them well with your full attention. But then you just have to be patient with the results because if you are because you are dealing with complex system and many people, it takes a long time for markets to adopt products. It takes time for people to get comfortable working with each other. It takes time for great products to emerge as you polish away, polish away, polish away. Impatience with action, patience with result. As Levi said, inspiration is perishable. When you have inspiration, act on it right then and there. Choosing to grow yourself. I don't believe in specific goals. Scott Adam Adams famously said, set up systems, not goals. Use your judgment to figure out what kind of environment you can thrive in and then create the environment around you so you are statistically likely to succeed. The current environment programs the brain then, but the clever brain can choose its upcoming environment. Oh my God. I'm not going to be the most successful person on the planet, nor do I want to be. I just want to be the most successful version of myself while working the least hard possible. I want to live in a way that if my life played out 1,000 times, Laval is successful 999 times. He's hot billionaire. He's not a billionaire, but he does pretty well each time. He may not have lived life in every regard, but he sets up system he's not filled in very few places. Remember, I started as a poor kid in India, right? If I can make it, anybody can. In that sense, obviously, I had all my limbs, all mental faculties, and I did have an education. There are some prerequisites you can get past, but if you are reading this book, you probably have this requisite means you at your disposal, which is functioning body and functioning mind. If there's something you want to do later, do it now. There is no later. How do you personally learn about new subjects? Mostly, I just stay on the basics. Even when I learn physics or science, I stick to the basics. I read concepts for fun. I am more likely to do something that has arithmetic in it than calculus. I want to be a great physicist at this point. Maybe in the next lifetime, or my kid will do, but it's too late for me. I have to stick with to what I enjoy. Science is, to me, the study of truth. It's the only true discipline because it makes falsifiable predictions. It actually changes the world. Applied science becomes technology, and technology is what separates us from the animals and allow us to have things like cell phones, houses, cars, heat, and electricity. Science, to me, is the study of truth, and the mathematics is the language of science and nature. I'm not religious, but I'm a spiritual. To me, that is the most devotional thing that I could do to study the laws of the universe. The same kick that something might get out of the being in Mecca or Medina. And bowing to the prophet, I get the same feeling and the wow and small things of self when I study science. For me, it's unparalleled, and I would rather stay at the basics. This is the beauty of reading. Do you agree the idea if you read what everybody else is reading, you are going to think what everyone else is thinking?